Hey guys, welcome to the video. So we are playing Foundation today. This is the first time it's appearing on the channel. This is a very cool medieval city builder game that I've been having a lot of fun with. It's similar to Manor Lords in a lot of ways, but definitely a different style of art. And there's also quite a few different mechanics in the game that I like a lot, that I want to kind of feature in this video, as well as just play a little bit for you guys. So the first thing, this city is not planned out very well. It's my very first one. But there's one thing I want to show you which is really cool, and that's the fact that the buildings are customizable. So if I click on my manor here, you can actually edit the building once it's been created, and there's all these sub-components. They call them like sub-parts, I believe. And you can basically add them onto your existing building. Let's see, I'll pick something easy to see, like a tower. So if I place that tower down, you can see it's kind of grayed out. You can actually increase the size of it. So you can make a really cool looking building, and these actually count as defensive features or fortifications. Now what's really funny is you can make these hilariously tall, like ridiculously oversized, right? So you could make a really, really big castle if you wanted to. There's a manor, there's a monastery, and there's a castle fortification that you can make in this game. So the manor isn't, you know, the end game building. You can actually make a castle with castle walls, a moat, the whole deal. And what's cool about changing the size of the subparts is you can see it actually changes the stats and the building costs of the actual component. So the buildings are, let me delete this, clear changes, go back to normal. So one of the things I'm planning on doing is expanding my territory over to this little island right here and putting some type of castle on there. I'm building a bridge right now, which is taking up all my stone resources. I'm going to unpause that. And other than that, I've grown my city to about 128 population. They're relatively happy, which is a surprise. It's gone down to like 40% happiness at some points, but I've gotten it back up. And let me show you the skill tree. So if I click on prosperity, you can see there's the common path. There's the labor, which is where you get your manor house. So that's kind of the leader of your city. And you have all these different upgrades to get through. And you also have your kingdom, which the first thing you build is your castle. Then you have different types of warfare. You have different castle walls, and all of the architecture that goes along with it that you upgrade as you go. Then you have clergy, which is obviously your religious side of things. So you get your monastery, and they get special bonuses and appearances and jobs and things you can create, like the herb garden, the berry garden, stuff like that. So this game has a very good progression system, and things are very synergistic with how you build up your city. So I just really like that aspect of the game. Things are very customizable. You can come in and pretty much build. I'll show you all the buildings I have right now. So I have a ton of buildings available to me. And you also have these, I think they're called beautification upgrades. Yep. So there's a system in the game which I learned recently, which is basically if you want to upgrade your housing, there's a, let me click on one of these people here. So this guy, I have no idea how to pronounce that name, he's a serf. And if you want to upgrade him to a commoner, you can do so for 20 coin. And I have about 480. Another thing to note is, unlike Manor Lords, this game has a coin maximum. So after you get 650, or originally it's 500, you'll need to spend your coins to really earn anything more. So going back to this, I could upgrade him to a commoner, but then he would have additional needs. One of them being a better house. And one of the ways to upgrade houses is it, first of all, has to be in a desirable neighborhood, and it has to have beautification in the area, and it has to have a commoner resident. And what I found out is, let's see, not beautification, the desirable neighborhood can't be too close to, like, industry. So this is an iron smelter, this is a blacksmith. This house right here is not desirable, so a commoner is never going to live here. So you'll always have a mixture of serfs, commoners, and citizens. I've not gotten to the part where you get citizens yet, but I'm sure I'll get there when I start building my kingdom. So I've got a couple farms around here. You've got this wheat farm, and basically the way that you zone out things that you want with your kingdom is you actually get some kind of a paintbrush, as if it's like Microsoft Paint or something, and you actually get to paint what areas you want to be certain things. So for this area, I had to select this square brush, and I went over and painted this area, and you'll see on the panel there under crops it says this field is adequately sized for the current amount of workers. So if I put one worker in there, this is going to be way too much land for him to handle, and it's only going to do like a third or half. So if I add 3 workers, I need a pretty good sized farm, and so you actually have to brush that amount, and then it will tell you it's adequately sized, or too big or too small. So that's very cool. There's the paint down here, so you can do wood cutting, hunting, residential, and you can remove a resource, or you can forbid people from walking in a certain area. So if you were to put your town up here and people kept running up the mountainside, you would just put a forbidden line over here and they would not go up that side because it would block their path. So there's a lot of cool features. You can really dictate how your kingdom behaves, how your people behave, and you can build up your city really organically, which I absolutely love. So let me click on the map here. So this is the entire map that I was given, and when I created this map, there was actually a really cool creation menu where you got to choose things like how hilly you wanted it to be, how many cliffs there were, how mountainous, if there was a lot of lakes, if there was a lot of rivers, and if there was a lot of islands. And it was like a slider, so you could, there was a whole spectrum to it where you could decide if you wanted no lakes and only rivers, or if you wanted, you know, some islands, some lakes, no rivers, a lot of mountains. You can really go in and decide how you want the geography to look, which is really, really cool. That's something that Manor Lords doesn't have, unfortunately. And I'm going to have a hard time comparing this game and Manor Lords because this game is fully released. And as you probably know, Manor Lords is still in early access. So there we go. My bridge is coming up. I'm excited to make it to this little island here. I already have a fishing hut planned. That's going to be my first source of fish. And something else to note here is, if we click on the territory tab, I own 14 territories, and I've had to buy a bunch because my economy is doing really well, and I don't want to reach that maximum coin because then everything I'm doing is going to go to waste. So I've been purchasing territories like this. If you hover over a new one, you can purchase it, although it increases your upkeep per month. So the territories you buy are pretty small, and you'll probably end up buying 100 or 200 by the time you get the whole map to yourself. So the thing you have to keep in mind is that when you buy a territory, that upkeep per month goes up and up and up. So if you're not actually using the land and recouping that money, eventually your economy is going to collapse. So with my city, my economy was doing really poorly, so I couldn't expand, and so I had to cram everything into this little area. So I think, let's see, this was my first area, and then I bought this one, and then I think I bought this one, because I needed to do some hunting. And then I kind of bought the ones around it. And then after that I was trying to get to this source of water here, and I noticed this island, which was really cool, so I was like, that's going to be a perfect spot for my kingdom. So that's the current plan right now. Let me go over a couple other buildings here. So I've got these wheat farms, and right here I've got a windmill to turn that into flour. And right across we've got a bakery. And something else to note here is you can see the baker is best suited to be a commoner, and this is best suited to be a serf. And there's also like a tax building, which is best suited to be a citizen. So if I want to upgrade these guys, I can just click on them and upgrade them from a serf to a commoner to a citizen. So that's kind of how that works. The manor, the tax building, the church, and the tavern, which has multiple components, are all modular buildings. In addition, your kingdom and your monastery are also going to be modular buildings. I'm really looking forward to mining a ton of stone and marble and this building a very large kingdom on this island once I clear it out of all the forest here. So that's going to be really fun for me. I'm probably going to do another video either as I build it or when it's completed, just to show that off and talk about, you know, how it was built and everything. I think that would be a good video. But so far, I've only played this game about 9 or 10 hours, and I'm really, really enjoying it. So if you've seen Manor Lords on my channel or elsewhere, just know that Foundation is also a very fun game if you enjoy Manor Lords. So my production's doing really well. I've, you know, managed to cram all this into really only like 4 territories. So my food, my meat and berries, and my bread is doing really well. I'm stockpiling wool because I keep getting these messages that pop up asking me to do a deal for like trading 100 wool for 300 coin, which is amazing. The problem is the deal expires before I'm able to save up all that wool, so I've been stockpiling it, waiting for that message or the trade to come back. So I have all these other resources down here, a lot of which I've not progressed enough to actually do anything with. Seeing the hops at 100 reminds me I have to build a brewery, because I'm not doing anything with those right now. And I also want to show you the Royal Book, which is a really cool way it's set up. There's kind of everything in one spot. So my town is called Eldengate. It is a village, and you get to customize your coat of arms, which is cool when you first make it. So you have edicts and privileges. I have one edict, which is refunding some of the tools used when building. So tools are pretty... You have to keep building them because they're consumed when you actually create a structure. The bigger the structure is, the more tools it's going to consume. So if you picture someone using a hammer for 100 hours, eventually it's going to snap. You also have privileges, which I haven't actually used yet. We'll see if I want to use one of these. Labor building, upkeep reduced, that's a good one. Okay, that's a happiness boost to immigrants. You can have one more concurring taxes without penalty. Okay, I think that means that when you have multiple taxes going, you don't have a penalty for one additional tax. Okay, unhappiness from taxation is reduced. There's a couple of good ones here. Let me see. I don't need to worry about trade because I have too much money as it is, which is a good problem. Upkeep reduction, that's also money focused. This is a happiness thing, but my people are also very happy. And I only take new people when I need them, when I have open jobs. Taxes without penalty. Let's see here. We'll do that one. So they're not going to be as unhappy. So the taxes penalty used to be 15%, and now it's 10%, which is actually pretty good. It is possible to get happiness over 100%. I think the most I've had is like 108% so far. But you have to have like some kind of positive event. So that's edicts and privileges. There's also trade routes. So these are the surrounding cities, and they're allied with certain things. So again, if we click on prosperity, you can see there's labor, which is a green token. You have kingdom, which is a orange, and you have clergy, which is blue. So that's who they are associated with the most. So they're labor, clergy, kingdom, another labor. And if you scroll down, you actually have castles, a castle harbor, which is a kingdom, and also clergy again. These ones to unlock, you actually need the tokens for clergy and kingdom. So I have yet to really get that because I don't have those tokens yet. I haven't built the monastery or the kingdom. And it looks like I can actually unlock this trade route right now since I've been making bread. So we're going to go ahead and do that. You can see I can buy these from them, and I can sell them these. So I could sell them boars, hops, which I do have, and also bread. I have yet to get wax, honey, beer, or jewels or anything like that. So then you have resources. Clicking the little star adds them to the top of your resources, or you can find all of them down here. And you can also do purchases and sales, so I can buy it, I can sell it, and then you can specify the limit that you want to do. So that's a nice little menu there. You've also got your villagers, so you can organize this by status. So you can see I've got this many commoners. You could do name, ascending or descending. You could do jobs. The cool thing about jobs and villagers is that they actually get more proficient the longer you leave them in that role. So we can see our happiness, and then we can have issues here. So they cannot find a house close to their workplace. So to fix that, I'd have to go in to where they're working. I'd click on View Workplace. And I'd have to be like, okay, so there's no open housing in this area. So I'd have to go in, do a paint, residential, and then go in and actually make more houses. What's kind of confusing to me is that there's already residential, but they might not want to build on it because it's a pasture. So that's fine. Let me see if I go in and paint this area over here. I'll do it with a circular brush. You can kind of see how this works. So we'll just do that little area for now. I'm going to close the menus, and you can see they're already starting to build a house right here. So that's good. Houses are built automatically as long as you zone them in with a residential. Oh, another one popped up right there. So that makes it not quite as tedious to build houses. Like in Manor Lords, you have to build each and every house. But with this, you can zone a big old area. You can just be like, alright guys, put your houses here, and just walk away from it. So I find that to be quite convenient, although you don't have as much control of where they end up. So going back to the Royal Book, that's villagers. We also have buildings. So you can, view the workplace, you can view the workers, and also the status. So no workers assigned, wherever storage is full, production paused, and the ones that are working just fine, which is most of them. We've also got a budget, which is helpful. So this month I am up 129 coins, which is great. I have 347 income. Last month I had a lot of income. And then you also have your expenses down here. So building buildings usually costs money. So there's a construction cost, there's mandates, territory upkeep, which is actually quite high, and all types of other stuff. that's pretty nicely itemized. Now, it just occurred to me that if your territory upkeep grows and grows and grows, eventually it's going to be like 1,000 per month. And what's crazy about that is your max coins is only usually 500, but I have an upgraded treasury, so it's up to 650. So the money going in and out is going to actually exceed the total amount of money you can store at one time. So that kind of makes me nervous, because it's like, if you don't have things correctly balanced out, you could be, you know, at your max money the whole time, or you could be wavering a lot, or you could just be flat broke. Then we've got taxation. So this is where you actually set your taxes. So if I want to, I could reduce this. That would reduce their unhappiness, or I could go and increase it, and they would be more unhappy, but we're at 96% happiness, so we could definitely deal with that. And then commoners, without the upgrade, it's a lot different, but they have a lesser tolerance to being taxed. And once you have citizens, they'll have even a lower tolerance of being taxed. They just don't like taxes at all, whereas serfs can kind of put up with it because they're the lowest rank. So that's very interesting. There's separated tax meters. And then you just have logs, which is basically, if you get little messages up here, you can go back and see what they were. And also helpful for seeing what was traded out or purchased. So, very nice little royal book there. You've got the progression, which I showed you. You have mandates, which are kind of like city-wide proclamations. I haven't got too much into this. I think I've done the first one the tutorial said I should do, but there's a lot going on here. You can prospect for minerals, all kinds of cool stuff. And there's the map, which I showed you already. So this is definitely a very cool game. I'm going to keep playing it quite a lot. I've put roughly 150 hours into Manor Lords, so I imagine I'm going to be putting about the same amount of time into this game, maybe even more, because there's a lot of freedom, a lot of customization. The maps are procedurally generated. You can make a new map anytime. You can have a whole bunch of islands if you want to have, you know, groupings of islands with bridges all across. You can do some really cool picturesque building and structures. You know, I'm picturing having a castle up on this ledge with a big long brick wall and some fortifications nearby, and then your town is kind of up on this hill. You could even do things where if you find a hill, oh, there's another little island right there. If you find a hill, let's say this sloped hill, you could have your serfs at the bottom, your commoners somewhere in the middle, and then you could have your upper class citizens up here next to the monastery or the kingdom or the manor. So you can really take it, you know, next level medieval. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to show you guys this game. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I do recommend it. I think it's $35 full price on Steam, which is not bad at all. I looked on GOG.com and it was about the same. There was no deal going on. So if it looks like a good game to you, I would wishlist it. Maybe wait for a sale. But I think it's worth its money full price. I'm having an absolute blast. So I did a lot of rambling, but I really wanted to show you guys the features of this game. I think there's some really unique stuff here, especially with the building and construction. I'm just such a huge fan of that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like on the video. Consider subscribing for more city builder content like this. We've got Manor Lords, we've got now Foundation, and there's a bunch of other games I'm planning on playing. So if you want to see any series or upcoming games, please do subscribe. Anyway, that'll do it for me, guys. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.